call the meeting to order. Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll do a quick roll call. Councilor Uffelman? Here. Councilor Youngman?
Here.
Councilor Merritt?
Here.
Councilor Papke?
Here.
And Councilor Law?
Present.
Myself. Janet is not on, correct?
She's unable to make it.
Okay. All right. No additions to the agenda, or are there any additions to the agenda?
There aren't, Mayor. I think the only thing we would have on this agenda is the two items under council business.
Okay. No consent agenda. There were no written. James, did we have any communications to the city as of today? Or Lisa?
None were received by email.
Okay. Two things on council business. So first thing, I forgot to do this the other night. We need to elect a council president. Ray, I'm not sure if you know, but just a council president fills in when the mayor is not able to come to the meetings. And Gail, I think you are the council president right now.
That is correct.
Do you want to stay in that position as council president?
I feel like we have a member of our council that would be terrific as council president, as past mayor, and he would know exactly what to do. So I would like to Uffelman.
Did you just make that motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, can I make a motion to nominate Councilor Steve Uffelman for the position of council president?
And this is Patricia.
Yes, you can.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second.
I should ask for any other nominations.
Are there any other nominations as for someone as council president? So I don't hear any. So.
I hear a train coming.
So we have a motion and a second to elect Steve Uffelman as council president. I'll do a roll call vote real quick. Councilor Uffelman.
Aye.
Councilor Youngman.
Oh, yes, aye.
Councilor Merritt.
Aye.
Councilor Papke.
Choo-choo, aye.
Councilor Law.
Aye.
And myself, I vote aye. So passes unanimously.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Steve, for this. All right, so next on our agenda is the consideration of the letter to Governor Brown, Mr. Forrester and Jared Reed.
Thank you, Mayor. City Attorney Reed, do you have anything you want to start out with?
You have in front of you in your agenda the draft letter that from Tuesday's meeting was directed to be drafted. Mr. Forrester and I, with help from the team, were able to do that, and we're here to answer any questions that you may have.
The other thing that I would point out to the council that our partners at the Crook County Court have addressed the letter this morning in court session, approved the letter for distribution with a couple of very minor changes specific to naming the county and the city at the same time in places where it was city only. They have approved that to move forward. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mayor, we also have a note from Janet Hutchinson, who is absent, indicating her support for the letter.
No, you're correct on that. Has the council seen Janet's email? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so she just expressed her support. So, any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to just point out one thing. The county court is obviously has approved the letter with those changes, but what they're indicating is, and I apologize for not mentioning this earlier, is they are absolutely hoping for a joint letter, one letter signed by both the city and the county. And what the court did was direct their signature from the county judge on behalf of the court. And so I just want to make that clear, is they're hopeful for a joint letter, and I think that's wonderful. Worst case scenario is we make some changes that separates the two, and that's about the worst thing that's happened. I think both of these letters, if there are two, they will go out today, and hopefully there'll be one. But again, that will go out today, and Lisa's ready to make that distribution.
Perfect. So has everybody had a chance to look over the letter, or I have, and I love it. I'm glad the county were on board to approve this on their end. So is there any discussion about the letter?
I do have an obvious discussion that I need to ask. I think about the fourth paragraph down, it says it's difficult to accept the big corporate box stores remaining open and thriving with obvious COVID mitigation infractions. First off, I'm going to have to ask, big corporate box stores, what is that implying? And also the mitigation of infractions of those stores and the legal ramifications if some of those big boxes aren't happy with that.
So, Patricia, those are my words, and I can just say, I guess I believe it's consensus from the people that I interact with that I'm not certainly indicating that we're pointing the fingers at the big box stores, but certainly I think most people's experiences is when you walk into a large corporate store, a Walmart, a Fred Meyer, a Safeway, that are open for business, that not everybody is adhering to the COVID mitigation guidelines. And that's where I'm coming from. I would defer now to our city attorney on the risk, the liability risk that you're bringing to our attention.
Right. And the other thing is none of those stores are in our town. We don't have a big box store here.
Well, the closest we have would be Bi-Mart to a big box store. And I think that in general, what we're saying is, why can those be open anywhere in the state and our small businesses and restaurants cannot be? So that has to me, that has to be made in correlation to show why we're suggesting this letter.
And they have been deemed essential. So there's a difference there. So the why is.
So I personally, to me, if a business is a business, every employee is essential. And I mean, if anybody else from the council would like to add to that, that's great. But
I'm just
my position on this was for everybody, every business to be covered and to help every business open.
My comment is just with regards to OS, the COVID, doctor, the OHB and what we're following through the guidance that's been put out. When I say essential. And yes, everybody in a business is essential, but I think, the difference here where we're putting in big box corporations, they're not in our community, and then the, Bi-Mart might be considered big box. and the infractions, when we put in obvious COVID mitigation infractions, that's kind of like accusing them of something, and they've been very hardworking individuals, and they've been providing us a service and providing us products and things that are keeping us from going out of town to Redmond, where there is big boxes that are open.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So just to follow up the questions that were asked to begin with, City Attorney Jared Reed. First, the essential, there's never been a determination in Oregon of essential and non-essential services. That was never done in Oregon. It was specifically not done in Oregon. Instead, they had just definitions of different industries. So Governor Brown or the OHA never actually came out and said, this is essential, this is non-essential. A lot of other states certainly did, and that's where that language comes from. In regards to the legal liability of this statement, I would say slim to none. The obvious COVID mitigation infractions is an anecdotal statement, and one that I personally could certainly attest to. And I think the council's writing this. If you've gone to Costco, if you've gone to Fred Meyer's, if you've gone to any sort of large, not even large, you've gone to a retail store or a mall in this state, you have certainly been within 6 feet of people in probably an aisle, and there's infractions. And it's up to OSHA and the rest of the enforcement agencies to do whatever they want with that.
Thank you, Jared. Other than the two suggestions the county made in their approval, which was just adding that the county court be added to the letter, is there any further discussion?
Councilman Papke, I guess I have a question for Patricia. I'm trying to, and I appreciate you speaking up, and I'm trying to wrap my head around. Are you concerned with the language, or are you concerned how that language might be interpreted by businesses within Prineville, or both?
Both.
Okay.
Okay, well, Patricia, thank you for bringing those points up. And excuse me, who was?
Sorry, that was the long pregnant pause there. I get it. And I've always been the person to beg for forgiveness and not ask for permission. I personally don't mind the strong language. I want this letter to have an impact. I want somebody to listen to it. I want somebody to listen to us. We are speaking for our constituents. And I'm, I guess when I've always stepped up to when it's a challenge, you come in as strong as you can so you can overcome the challenge. And I can certainly see your concerns, Patricia, but I guess for me personally, I don't mind it being in there. If it takes a conversation, maybe that's something you can do, Mr. Mayor, or we can do as an individual councilman, just contacting the folks just to let them know and make sure, hey, we're sending this out because we're doing this for the community. This language is in there. Please know this is not intended towards you. And maybe that's enough. I don't know.
Well, and the strong language is a good thing. There's no doubt about that. But it's inferring that we have big box stores here. Maybe it would be better to say it's difficult to accept the big box corporate stores in our state remaining open. Because they're not locally.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor, may I say something?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Patricia, too. I appreciate you bringing this forward. One of the thoughts I had is I was listening to your points and listening to Councilman Papke is if we were to put the big box stores in the Central Oregon area or in our area, I think that is not very many words that makes a clear distinction. So that would be something I think might a compromise that seems to be very manageable.
Because that would make me feel very good because from how this reads, they're implying some of our bigger stores in Prineville. And as I said, we don't want to hurt, some of the businesses that have been working really hard to keep this town afloat and not have to go to Redmond and to Bend for items.
I could jump in here. I would use the word region, the big box stores in our region. That pretty much covers it.
Definitely.
Mr. Mayor?
So we're doing after the word stores and between the word stores and remaining, we're doing within our region rather than within Oregon or within our state?
That would be my recommendation, yes.
Thank you.
All right, I've written that down. And if that's, the county I don't think would have any problem with that. So,
I wouldn't anticipate that, but we'd want to advise them of that.
yes, and that would still keep us with one letter signed by both. So, all right, is there any further discussion about the letter?
This is Steve Uffelman. I move to approve the letter as revised per our discussion.
And this is Patricia. I'll second that one.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the letter as revised per our discussion. Any further comment? All right, I'll do a roll call vote. Councilor Uffelman,
Aye.
Councilor Youngman,
Aye.
Councilor Merritt,
Aye.
Councilor Papke,
Aye.
Councilor Law,
Aye.
and myself, I vote aye. So passed unanimously. So thank you all for that, and I'm glad the county jumped on this with us to write this letter to the governor. So,
Mr. Mayor, may I say a couple words?
yes, please.
Thank you, counselors, but Lisa Morgan, are you on the phone with us, in touch with us here?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Okay, so are you prepared to connect with Amy at the county administration office to coordinate the signage and distribution of this letter?
Will do.
Okay, I just want to make sure that everybody's okay with that. That's typical protocol for when we participate with the county, our partners of the county. So I just wanted to make sure the council is aware that Lisa will be coordinating with county administration and get this done and out this afternoon.
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. We don't have anything else on the agenda unless somebody from the council has something. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you all for meeting today on this.